Look at Columbus. Here come the Nittany Lions. Penn State all over Michigan in Happy Valley tonight, 42-13. Mark Rogers TV with instant analysis. I was all locked in and ready to look at what I consider to be the best college football night of the season in primetime, with USC going to Notre Dame and Michigan and Penn State. I am a sucker for the traditional games, and with Penn State, Michigan, and also USC and Notre Dame on the docket, and both games being very, very meaningful. I was ready for two great football games, and I got zero great football games. I was checking out Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. They played a really good football game in the fourth quarter. So back to Penn State's dominance over Michigan. They came out of the gate, and Saquon Barkley ripped off a run out of the Wildcat, and Penn State led it at 14-0 out of the gate. The Penn State defense, which has been largely disregarded in this matchup. Michigan's considered maybe the best defense in America. I don't believe so. I certainly have placed it in the top 5. And if you checked out our conversation that we had with Black Shoe Diaries of SB Nation this week, we talked about the simplistic analysis of this game being that if Michigan has an elite defense and Penn State possibly has an elite offense, they negate each other. On the other hand, Michigan's had an anemic offense, especially passing the ball, 58 yards passing against Indiana. They have been putrid since week 1 when Wilton Speight threw 2 pick sixes against Florida. That Michigan has not been able to get it together on offense, especially in the pass game. And they've had 6 weeks to do it, and they've shown us nothing. And Penn State has an underrated, exceptional defense. That would be the difference. And that was the difference. The Michigan offense, to its credit, and the Michigan team in particular, showed some life after this game could have been out of hand far sooner than it was, with Penn State jumping out 14-0. The whiteout was going crazy, and the Nittany Lions were off and running in good shape. But Michigan picked off a Trace McSorley pass in which he read the coverage wrong and threw in the flat. David Long had the pick. I couldn't recall the Michigan player who made that interception. It looked like he had a free track to the end zone, but Trace McSorley cut him down. But Michigan marched on for the touchdown from there. They missed their first PAT in 301 attempts after that long touchdown drive, and it was 14-6. So Michigan looked like it was back in business. They drove for another touchdown. John O'Korn, who got off to a lousy start the first few series, was starting to feel it. No, he wasn't busting off big plays or ripping it downfield, but they were starting to hit the tight end. They were starting to run the ball, mix pass and run. They were running the bunch formation with the fullback and the tight end down in the red zone. And of course, again, getting the tight end active. And John O'Korn was 16 for 28 on this football game, and he looked fine. It was just that the unthinkable happened in this game. It's that the Penn State offensive line, which has been porous in recent years, getting better under James Franklin, the recruiting efforts of the Penn State coaching staff starting to pay dividends, and especially in this game against Rashawn Gary, Maurice Hurst, and what is considered possibly the best front in college football, along with Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State, was neutralized. Yes, Saquon Barkley's incredible, but most of his big runs were because the offensive line did its job. 15 carries for 108 yards. He caught 3 passes for 53 yards. And Saquon Barkley, surprisingly, only had 2 100-plus yard games coming into Game 7. The Heisman frontrunner, though, ripped up Penn State or ripped up Michigan. And, of course, he's got a date, as do the Nittany Lions, with Ohio State next week. Yeah, I got off this game in the fourth quarter. This one put me to sleep. It was surprising to me. I know Michigan started as a double-digit underdog in the opening Vegas line. It dropped to 9. I saw some lines as close to a touchdown right before kickoff. I liked Michigan in 9 points, but they were completely outclassed by Penn State. Trace McSorley missed some throws early in the game, or Penn State would have been off and running with an even bigger lead, but he found his groove. And yes, Michigan's just limited on offense. Penn State with a near elite receiving core, the best player in football at running back, and Trace McSorley providing the run option, and ran the RPO to the best of his ability and the best we've seen since his stay at Penn State. We need to mention Jason Kabinda had a tremendous game of 13 total tackles. He also combined with the rest of his teammates for 7 sacks of O'Korn, 8 tackles for loss. The Penn State defense is lightly regarded, but with the likes of Marcus Allen and providing his leadership in the defensive backfield, this is a tremendous Penn State defense. What a matchup we have in Columbus next week with Ohio State, yet to defeat a great opponent this year. They had their one shot against a quality team in Oklahoma. Probably its best performance was on the road against Nebraska, where they wiped out the Cornhuskers. Ohio State's been rolling, but against inferior foes, and now they've got to deal with Penn State. So the Nittany Lions are hot coming into the game. The Buckeyes had the bye week to prepare. Who has the advantage? Who has the better team? Would love to hear your comments. I will, of course, make my selection later this week. Penn State, Ohio State. It should be the marquee game in the Big Ten for this season. Now that Michigan has shown us they're not quite up to snuff in the Big Ten East, Michigan State probably not either, although with no losses in the Big Ten, they will still have something to say with Ohio State and Penn State both on their schedule in the coming month. All right, talking Big Ten football, please subscribe to my YouTube channel right here at Mark Rogers TV. As you can see in sorting through the videos, we provide the best analysis in the industry, not just from myself, but from the best bloggers and broadcasters that we can find from sites like SB Nation, Inside the ACC, Fansided, and elsewhere. So enjoy the college football coverage, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The audio versions for all the podcasts also, and long-form conversations at Twitter. That would be Stitcher, Podbean, and iTunes. Just search Mark Rogers TV. Yes, it's getting late. We'll see you next time.